talked about Texas, man, there's been a big conversation about what to do with this racetrack. I thought to myself, I was like, we're going to see what happens with this race. And maybe this race is good enough to change people's minds. We had a couple guys, Larson and a few other guys, go into the media center, and Larson's like, anything better than this, anything better than what we have here. And, man, if I could build a track, I would build this type of racetrack. So what the problem is with Texas, and it was the same with Atlanta. So I'd heard the rumblings. Let's go back to Atlanta. I'd heard the rumblings about them reconfiguring that racetrack, and I said, hey, I know what you need to do. You need to put it back like the old Atlanta, 2 straightaways. Perfect. We don't have a mile and a half racetrack that doesn't have a dog leg. We don't need a damn dog leg.
That's right.
And so, the damn dog leg is overrated. So I that's a T-shirt.
Yeah, it is.
So I told them that, and they went, well, we can't. We're not changing the front straightaway grandstands. We're not going to tear down all this. We're not going that deep in our pocket that we're going to change the structure. So we got to use this footprint. And I'm like, well, that's no fun. We got to use this footprint. This sucks. And so they banked the corners and went with it. And now that's what we got at Atlanta. For better or worse, this is Atlanta for the next 20 years. Texas is the same thing. They're not going to tear down the turn 2 condos. Big houses staying, and the front stretch grandstands are not changing either. There's your footprint. What the freak do you do? That's so frustrating because absolutely, if we were start from scratch, building a Nashville Fairgrounds or a Bristol asphalt or any kind of short track stadium high bank track would be a surefire success. All right, even with the frustrations and questions about the short track package, I think they'll figure that out. Over time, it's not going to suck forever. And so, if you could start from scratch, certainly you'd have a better shot at getting it right. Now what you got is either leaving the racetrack alone, all right, or banking it and doing an Atlanta 2.0. None of the drivers want that except Corey LaJoy. Or you could put it back like Atlanta was, reconfigure 1 and 2 to where it was the way it used to be. Leaving the track alone is not real. This is, if you look at the grandstands, they weren't full. We had a pretty decent crowd, but not where Marcus wants it to be. Okay, Marcus wants more people there. We're all the owner today. We're all the owner of Texas today. Everybody in this room owns Texas. We're a group.
Yep.
We own it.
Yep.
The sexy thing for us is to make a change. Leaving it alone probably won't help us sell any more tickets next year.
Right.
Especially after what we just saw this past weekend. Well, guys, we got to do something, right? So leaving it alone, probably we're going to take that off the table. Putting it back like it was, man, I don't know. Is that going to get people to come back? I don't know. I don't feel good about it. It might be the right thing to do. Might be probably, I don't know. I don't feel good about it. Banking it to Atlanta 2.0. I think people will buy some tickets to that. Drivers are going to hate me. And drivers are going to be vocal about it. They're going to be, they're not going. And that could hurt my ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
That could hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
This Atlanta thing might be a flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest.
That's true.
I'll be honest. When I looked at the grandstands in Atlanta this year, not impressed.
Yeah.
Not impressed. So not sure that's the route we need to go. So damn, what do I do? I'll be honest with you. I don't have the answer to what in the hell we need to do to Texas. There's one thing I know, in that we need to be there, we need to stay there, we need to race there. But what do we do with this racetrack?
I think it's simple.
Okay.
I mean, this is just easy.
Yeah, go ahead. It is?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
You reconfigure it. You reconfigure it.
I know, but to what?
To the go oval. Go oval. Go replicate Homestead.
You can't.
Because of the grandstands?
Yes.
I don't look at that as a reason. Let me tell you why. Okay, hold on. Now, if you're telling me that there's property that are on, that we got to go wider, but if you're telling me that the only reason is because of the configured grandstands, do it. Like you said, they're not full, and it's not getting better. You got tracks that have been tearing down grandstands. And also, what's wrong with a track that just actually improved and has a little character? And it doesn't look right, but you know what? It had character. You're telling me Marcus can't figure out what to do with that space? He'll make he'll make pit road on the outside. He'll do whatever it is. I'm just saying. It's like if you're on life support. A person's on life support, and they're like, we're gonna have to do this thing to save his life. But you're like, wait a second, no, that's not gonna work well with his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because he likes chili dogs, so he's not going to want to do that.
All right.
Save his life. I'm like, wait a second, guys. This track feels like it's on life support now. The way people dog it, and it pains me because Texas is a great. You should never leave that market. Let's just rule that out. Don't ever leave that market. That's a huge market. You got to be in Texas. I just think that there are fun, unique, wonky, weird racetracks in this world. We've seen them, and I don't think that's a big enough reason to not go fix the racetrack. Okay, so you got grandstands that do a D-shaped thing. Maybe they have to look up, an extra 100 yards here or okay.
Basically, I guess if you built a true oval with no dog leg, the front straightaway would be where the pits are now. So
I love it.
But your flag stand, all that would have to move. I mean, you
could move the flag stand to the track
and the grandstands.
Nope, just
leave them thousands of feet away. No, man.
Listen, we've seen racetracks that were like that.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
Let me tell me one.
Augusta International Raceway.
That was in the '60s, Mike.
So was North Wilkesboro, Dale. I mean, we're not going to go sit there and I'm just saying there are tracks with character. Or you could have cookie cutter racetracks and everything conforms just like those D shapes. But I'm saying is that I don't look at that as a big enough reason to not fix the racetrack and configure it to where it is its own unique individual racetrack where it's not Don't go do Atlanta again. Let Atlanta be Atlanta and let it live out the success however long that is. Hopefully it's a long time. But you're right. We're sort of deprived of the of the traditional ovals, and I don't think you could go do a short track now with those grandstands.
Yeah,
that would be too much. I mean, now you're asking people to really kind of break out binoculars here. I don't think reconfiguring to a 1.5 mile oval is so egregious that you wouldn't do it because of the D-shaped grandstands. Just doesn't seem like a big enough reason.
What's that thing that they do in Rallycross where they have to take a different route one lap at least one time during the race?
Oh, no. We're not doing that.
Put a ramp over there.
Honestly, stadium super track at this rate.
I mean,
got a crazier idea for you.
Okay, go ahead. I knew you had an idea. I want to hear it.
Well, I'm not sure it would work. So that would be my. I mean, it would really be a unforgivable failure if it didn't work. So I mean, it'd be hard to even for me convince myself to do it. But so I believe that the treated part of the racetrack. If you watch the race, okay, let's all get in our brains here and have an imagination, right? And I'm going to ask you to build this in your imagination. All right, the bottom of the racetrack is untreated by two grooves. So the bottom of the racetrack, let's say, is 2 lanes wide, good old school asphalt, and then we have this very dark treated PJ1 plus resin, multiple applications, bam, bam, bam for years, and it's very dark part of the racetrack, about starting in about just below the third groove and all the way up toward the wall. Pave all of that. Take that area up off the racetrack. I think that the treatment is already pretty much ruined that part of the track anyways. If they get anything out of the third groove, they all crash. They tell you that it's dirty up there. It's the adhesion of the resin attracts all of the tire debris like a fly trap, like fly tape. And so when you get up out of the groove, you just run on all the top of these marbles that are glued to the racetrack. So rip up all of that treated surface and pave it. And let's just try that before we go spending hundreds of millions of dollars rebuilding this racetrack. Tens of millions just to reconfigure turns 1 and 2. If they wouldn't just pave the treated part of the racetrack. So then you'd have like different ages of asphalt. I remember we put a grip strip at Pocono, and it was a blast in turn 3. Yes, it's possible that all the cars would just attract to that new asphalt, and we'd have basically a one-groove track right in the middle of the corner. I don't know if that's a terrible thing to sort of go through for a couple years, because once that asphalt starts to age a little bit, I think they start trying to move around a little bit. And then you got those 2 bottom grooves of asphalt, that's several years older on the lower groove. That'll be a different grip level. You won't have to ever treat this track again, which they shouldn't. Some tracks should be treated, some shouldn't. And so that's one thing to do. It's either something like that, a little bit outside the box that we've never done before, or they only reconfigure turns 1 and 2. The problem with all of this.
Wait, what do you mean by? And are you talking about just reconfigure to what? To what?
To the original.
To the
way
original
it was.
one. Yeah, I gotcha.
Go back to the way it was.
To change the banking.
Yeah. The problem with this is that, again, I know we don't want to talk about tires anymore, but when you start doing this type of stuff, the tire they're going to have to bring to this racetrack, anytime they have to put new asphalt down after what we just saw this past week, they will bring the hardest tire, the most toughest SOB you've ever ran on, and it'll be bad for the racing product. And so this is maybe one of the toughest tasks or riddles that a track owner has ever had to try to figure out. Exactly what to do to Texas. If you like that conversation, you ought to listen to the entire download. The Dale Jr. download is available on all major podcast platforms.